Greetings, fellow Earthlings, and welcome to Tales from the Hoop, a bi weekly podcast dedicated to diving into the weird, wild, and wacky stories from basketball history. I am your host, Ricky Freck, and today I'm telling a story about possibly the greatest deal in basketball history to my brother.
Laser Dave.
Is bi weekly, does that mean twice a week? Or does it mean
Yeah,
every other week?
I thought it meant.
So we're a bi monthly podcast.
Yeah, I thought it meant.
You know,
I don't know.
is there a word for
Every
26
other
times a
week.
year?
Ooh, paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck, yeah. Yeah, so we today are doing our final part of oh my God. Sorry, I just got a message from our aunt asking me about my wife's
Oh
favorite
God,
flavors of Crystal Light.
great stocking stuffers. Everyone's favorite
Sorry.
topic.
So we are doing our final episode in the ABA run. I think we've done 12 episodes, maybe 14. One of those even numbers. After this, we'll be moving on to other material. But we have a doozy today, as I have been teasing for quite some time. I'm very excited for this show. Are you ready
It's
to
gonna
dive in?
be the Toronto Raptors.
Close.
It's not. It's the Spirit of St. Louis.
Close.
Oh, is it
Very
not?
close. Well, sort of. You're close. You're very close. You're missing one letter.
Oh, Spirits.
Yeah.
I thought we talked about this, that it was Spirit. I thought I was
No,
corrected. I thought it was Spirits, but
you might
you
have been corrected, but I'm correcting you now that if I corrected you before, I miscorrected you.
isn't. We can get into it later, but isn't Spirit of St. Louis a better name than
Let's go ahead and start the
Spirits?
show. In May 1927, Charles Lindbergh became the first person to take a solo, nonstop transatlantic flight going from Long Island, New York to Paris, France.
Lindbergh is a great name.
You're not wrong.
I wish I would be a lawyer if I had that name, or
You would be a lawyer. His
like a
dad was a
mayor.
U.S. congressman.
See, that's what. Yep,
He flew planes. Do you know
that's
his
just
son?
a
Do you know about Lindbergh's son?
no.
Oh, good.
What's okay? I feel like Lindbergh is a name that you would really want to like check their box if you were filling out a ballot. I wouldn't even need to know anything about him. Just Lindbergh.
Okay. No, let's not do that. Let's not do
No,
that.
I
You
I
wouldn't want to
only
know
vote.
anything about him?
I only vote based on name. Actually, fun fact. That's a joke.
What?
Everyone, relax. Don't come at me. I'm just
Everyone
joking.
relax. I would not I don't think I could run for office because I couldn't deal with people mispronouncing my name all the time.
Oh, it'd be horrible. Yeah, not
I
worth it.
I had to go to the doctor yesterday, maybe a little TMI, for a checkup, and I've met this man 5 times because I've been having an ongoing issue. It's
Yep.
fixed. Don't worry. We're all good. Every time he's called me Fretch,
Hmm.
and the first time I should have corrected him, but I was like, I probably won't be coming back here for a
Hmm.
while, so I'm not going to bother. And he still calls me Fretch. And every time I'm like, I should really correct you. But now we've
Yeah.
gone too far where I can't correct you and be
Yeah.
like, actually, he'll be like, why did you not tell me that the first time? You're like, Also, I have really bad handwriting. And at this doctor's office, my middle name starts with a D. I won't tell you what middle name is because,
Okay.
to protect myself. It starts with a
Anonymity.
D,
Yep.
but because my handwriting's so bad, they always list my name as Ricky O. Freck.
Oh,
So,
that's not a good. That does not roll off the tongue. I don't love Ricky O.
everything I'm doing at this hospital, well, not hospital, doctor's office is bad.
That's actually a old kung fu movie, right? Ricky O.
Ricky O, it's a good movie. Really
Okay,
good movie.
I take back what I said. Ricky O. Frick is a great name.
Okay, so for his exploits, Lindbergh won $25,000 and was named the first ever Time Magazine Man of the Year award winner.
Oh wow, yeah. See, if you meet a Charles Lindbergh, you just got to put him on a magazine cover.
Uh-huh.
Easy.
It took him 33 hours and 30 minutes to cover the 3,600 miles. During this particular trip, Lindbergh, who is probably best known for that time his baby son was kidnapped and murdered, flew the Spirit of St. Louis. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at
Excuse
that.
me?
Yeah,
That was way too positive a tone for what you just
Sorry.
said.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the more famous Lindbergh story is the Lindbergh baby was kidnapped
When
and
I
then
said I didn't know who his child was, you like giggled.
because you've never heard of the Lindbergh baby, which is surprising. It's a
That's
very famous
nuts.
thing.
Okay.
that they kidnapped a kid and then murdered him
Oh my
when he was like 6 years
gosh.
old.
Sheesh. I don't know if that deserves a giggle, but to each their own.
Oh, he's been dead for like 100 years. It's fine.
That's yeah. It's the time has passed.
It's not like I'm giggling about. Never mind. I was about to say a recent person that died, but I'll just let you use your imagination.
Insert name here.
Yeah. So he flew the Spirit of St. Louis, a custom-built single-engine, single-seat, high-wing monoplane.
Okay.
So keep that in the back of your noggin that we
Yeah.
have a plane flown by a man whose son was murdered called the Spirit of St. Louis.
Okay.
So, sorry. Several decades later, the ABA came around, and a man named T.C. Morrow wanted in on the action. He brought in a few minority partners, including Bud Adams, who owned the Houston Oilers in the American
Okay.
Football League, and they wanted to start a franchise in Houston. So one of the first things the Houston Mavericks did was
Oh,
bring in Slater Martin to be their coach and general manager. Now, you probably don't know Slater Martin because you haven't watched a basketball game before 2014,
never heard of him.
but
I
he
didn't know
won.
it existed before LeBron got in the league.
So Slater Martin won 5 titles in the 50s. He was the point guard for the Minneapolis Lakers. He was a 7 time All Star and a 5 time All NBA second team selection. Of course, he was, at best like the second fiddle to George Mikan. I think he averaged like 9 points a game or something. But still, he played a pretty important role on several title teams. And if nothing else, the future Hall of Famer knew the game of basketball. So it was probably going to be a good move for the fledgling franchise to bring in a guy who knew what he was doing.
Okay.
What
Sounds
wasn't
like
a
it wasn't.
Oh, no, it was, sorry.
Okay.
What wasn't a good idea was that the owners decided they weren't going to pay the $30,000 bond that the league required before the first
Ah,
ABA draft.
yeah. Fun.
So Martin got to the draft and he realized, oh, we haven't paid our money. They won't let us pick any players until we pay our
Hmm.
money.
Okay.
The Houston Mavericks missed the first 4 rounds of the first draft
4 rounds?
before he finally convinced them, hey, we should probably pay this money so we can have a team.
That's nuts like that you're a bad convincer if you wait until the fourth round to get
Well, he
them.
didn't know until he got there, and then it's
Okay.
1967,
I
so like it's
gotcha.
not like you're just texting each other,
Yeah. He
you
was like
know.
Morse coding back home. That's crazy.
You had to send a mail carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
So as you'd probably expect, they were scraping the Eastern Pro League. What is it? It's Eastern. It doesn't matter. The league that became the Continental Basketball League. So
Yeah,
it's
the other
basically
one.
like what?
The other league.
Yeah, the other league. They were scraping the lower leagues for players. That first year, they were led by 5'8" Willie Somerset, who,
Oh my
despite being
gosh.
shorter than both of us, averaged 22 points and 5 rebounds.
It's hard being shorter than me, too.
Yeah. But the team went 29-49 and was amazingly, despite that record, made it to the playoffs, but were swept
Okay.
by the Dallas Chaparrals. I mean, there were really only like four, there might have only been 4 teams per division at that point. So
Hmm.
I think
Okay.
everybody made the playoffs.
You
Maybe
got a
one
good
team
shot.
missed out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even worse than the losses, they could not bring in any fans. Most nights, there were fewer than 500 people in the stands, and they easily claimed the throne for the worst attendance in the league during that first season.
Okay. Good job. Off to a great start.
And here's the thing, all of this could have been pretty easily avoided because Morrow was one of the richest owners in the league.
Oh, come on. This crap again. I hate these owners, man.
He easily could have made them more competitive if he had been willing to spend the money. But as we saw, he was not. He could not even be bothered to let his team draft. Now, to be fair
I
to him, oh, sorry,
there's
go ahead.
I don't want to say there's no winning because they're billionaires, but it is funny that you either like you have all your fans hate you because you
Yeah,
never spend money
yeah,
and it's just like a money making machine for you. Like the Bengals owners
yeah,
notoriously
yeah.
that's
They're
their
gonna
only money, so they have to make a profit.
and they're gonna lose bad soon. So
Yeah, don't worry about
because
it.
Joe Burrow's coming to
Um,
the Vikings, baby.
But then the other, if that happens, which it
Ice
won't,
Joe to Minnesota. He's
that's
a Vikings fan, Dave. He's
that's
a
gonna be
Vikings
nuts.
fan.
Um, I don't think so.
I don't either, actually, but it's fun to
But
dream.
the other end of the spectrum is you're Steve Ballmer, and you've just got all this money, and so you're like, well, we can't give it to him under the salary cap, so let's just invent fake companies and and then you're also hated that way. So how do you win?
You be Sam Presti and beat everyone at being smarter than them and stay under the cap and be way
Yeah, I
better
don't know.
drafting.
I don't know what the Thunder's owner like. I know that he's from like the newspaper world,
Yeah.
like that's where his family originally got their money.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I've ever tried to figure out what he does or like what his job is, it's I think he works for like a shell company that's funded by some offshore accounts or something.
Hey,
It's always like
whatever it takes.
chairman of Basketball Inc. And I'm like,
Mm.
what's going on with that LLC over there?
Yeah. And I will say, like, in that respect, what you're saying, it is almost better to not, like, any league except for MLB is better to be an owner because in the MLB, you really can just like spend your way to the top.
Yeah,
Whereas in other leagues, at least you have a salary cap to kind of hold you back. So I guess if you're a cheap owner, don't get into baseball.
yeah. I don't
But
know the NFL salary cap.
it
No, it
seems
makes
like kind of
no
a
sense to
joke
me. It's
because, like,
sometimes it's important, sometimes it's not. It's sometimes people can go over it, sometimes they cannot. I have no idea what's happening.
well, like every year, Patrick Mahomes restructures his deal so they have more space, which I just think you shouldn't be able to do that.
It doesn't make sense. Why?
Like, you should just have to pay him. But in
Also, why
baseball, it's
doesn't
even
every
worse. Yeah,
quarterback restructure every year?
because they
Like
don't care about winning as much as Patrick.
that's right.
They care about
He's
themselves more.
he's going to come back if they make the playoffs. He'll come back from a broken
He's
ACL.
not making, they can't. They're eliminated.
Oh, officially,
Yeah,
I don't pay attention.
they
I
officially were
saw
eliminated
my
last
boy
week.
Sam Darnold whoop up on the Rams last night in
Dude,
double OT or
that play was
double.
insane. That
Yeah,
the forward backward pass was crazy. What a
we can
play.
get back to basketball in a second, but I do just want to dunk on you and say that
Dunk on me for what?
Trevor Lawrence and Sam Darnold, my two guys that you always argue with me about, great year for my takes.
What
I'm
do you
loving
mean
it.
by I don't argue with you about Sam Darnold. What do you mean by that?
You said that
Explain.
he was a KOC merchant.
He is a KOC. So is Daniel Jones. They're all KOC merchants.
No, they're not KOC
If you
merchants.
spent time with KOC, you're a good quarterback. It's
Oh
facts.
God. Tell that to JJ.
I'm just saying he's looked a lot better the last couple of weeks. I just said that if you draft a quarterback in the top 10, you can't sign you have to take a chance that he's good. They couldn't keep Sam Darnold for what he was going to cost them because they have to try. You have to have in the NFL nowadays, your best chance to win a Super Bowl is to win it with a rookie quarterback or a
Mm,
quarterback on his rookie deal because then you can actually spend money on other players. So they have to try
right.
with McCarthy. They couldn't just go back to Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold has shown over and over again that he will suck in big games. So
Yeah, it's going to be crazy when Trevor Lawrence beats Sam Darnold in the Super Bowl this year. And you say, oh, quarterback contracts cost too much, rookie quarterbacks.
I'm every that's what everything points towards being true.
I'd have to go look at it. Is that Patrick Mahomes wins all the Super Bowls? He hasn't been on a rookie contract in a long
But what
time.
I'm saying is like you have to like your best chance like yes, once they get their second contract, sure, of course you still have a chance. You still have a window because
Yeah,
you have that quarterback. But the best chance to like Sam Darnold is
I see.
probably not going to become a generational like best in his class quarterback, right? Like and I don't think JJ
Understand.
McCarthy is either. I
Yeah.
never thought that. I would have traded
So you
every
might as
draft
well
pick
do the
we
cheaper
had.
guy.
Yeah, I would have traded every draft pick the Vikings had for Drake May for the next like 2 years. That's how
He
high I
looks
was
real
on Drake
good.
May, even above
Yeah.
Caleb Williams, because I think Caleb Williams has always been trash, and it's not just because he played for
Oh,
OU.
he's looking good too.
No, he's trash. What do you mean? Look at his
The
actual
ba-
stats. He's bad. That
dude.
team, that is one of the worst teams in the NFL by every metric besides wins, which I
Oh
know is
yeah,
the only
the
thing that matters. But once they get into the point where they start playing real teams all the time, they're going to lose.
I just if the Trevor Lawrence versus Sam Darnold is the Super Bowl, I
That
cannot
would be
wait
great. That
to
would be
dance
great.
on
I
your
would love
grave.
that. I like Trevor Lawrence. I just don't like that we call everyone a generational quarterback.
You got to
I
when they make the Super Bowl, baby.
no, you don't. That's crazy. Trent Dilfer is not a generational quarterback.
I don't know.
That's my only thing. You think I hate Trevor Lawrence? I like Trevor Lawrence a lot. I just think that people being like, "Oh, he's a generational prospect," is crazy.
I do. I remember sending you a text like 4 games ago. He had a dud, and I was like, I take it back. He
Yeah,
sucks.
you gave up on him.
I retake it back. I'm back in on Trevor Lawrence.
All right, let's get back to basketball.
My bad.
So, to be fair to TC Morrow, he did try because it was very common back in the day that you wanted a person from the place you lived, right? If you had a
Okay.
good college
Yep.
player, you wanted that guy to come play for you. So, the Houston Cougars had a couple stars, Elvin Hayes and Don Chaney. So, they tried to get them to come play for the Mavs, but both of them went to play in the NBA instead. Couldn't bring them over. So, they couldn't get in the players they wanted. They had a really poor start to the second season, and Morrow said, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm done. I'm not.
Okay.
The league can have my team. I'm leaving. He just left, quit.
Yeah.
So the league takes over. And as we've seen with that happening with the Hornets in, when was that, 2011?
Yep. Something ish.
The league then decided, you know what we got to do? We don't want this team to fold. So we want to make them as attractive as possible to a prospective owner. So George Mikan, who had actually played with Slater Martin, as I mentioned earlier, they were both
Hmm.
on the Lakers together. He decided he was just going to send them players from other teams, just like ship on the sly, just ship them players so they can stay being okay and hoping to attract more fans.
That it would have been awesome if he showed up in a uniform. It's like let's do this. I don't
Let's
know how
go.
old he was at that
Let's
point,
go.
but
I mean, probably like 50
let's
or
put butts
so.
in seats.
Yeah, let's do it. So despite getting better players, Slater Martin actually got like really pissed off that George Mikan would do this and just like be
Oh,
shipping him players. So he
he's
quit
like,
the
we got a
team.
chemistry over here. Oh, God. They're falling apart.
And one of the guys they sent, Art Becker, served as the player coach until Jim Weaver joined as the new coach of the team. And then attendance got even worse because midway through the season, all the fans learned that a guy named Jim Gardner had bought the team and was planning to move it to North Carolina after the season. So
Dang.
this guy agreed to play out the season in Houston,
Okay.
and under 100 people were showing up by the end. There was
Yeah, I
nobody.
guess that's fair to move it if it's like no one there.
I mean, well,
I guess did they stop showing up because it was
yeah,
moving?
they stopped
Oh,
showing up
okay.
because they knew
Okay.
they were moving. Yeah. I mean, they didn't
Yeah.
show up before, but it got really bad because they
Okay.
knew they were moving. But they did have a very important footnote to history during this last year in Houston
Okay.
because over a period of 3 games, they hit 43 straight free throws.
Wait,
The team,
that's
as
it.
a team, hit 43 straight free throws, which is a
Is that a
record
record?
record that has not been broken since.
That just doesn't seem like that many, but
What do you mean? How
I
often
don't
do you team
know.
go? How do often do you see a team go perfect from the line in a game? Not often. And
But
they
a
hit.
lot of teams shoot like 90% or whatever. I don't know. I'm not saying, oh, it's so likely that that happens all the time, but like it just feels
I don't think
more
a lot of
likely.
teams shoot 90% from the line.
Really?
Like over the course of a season, I feel like it's got to be closer to 75 or 80.
I guess I'm just thinking since it's, I don't know. Let's say it's 80.
Yeah.
I just feel like I feel like there's like a Warriors team or like a Luca team that
Mm.
one guy who always shoots a bunch has shot a bunch in a row. I don't know. If Steph had a game where he had like 12 in a row and the next game he starts out and he's got another 10 and then everyone else combined. I don't know. It just
Yeah,
doesn't
but then
seem
Draymond has to
that's
shoot,
that seems like 2 games worth of free throws.
or
Not
JaVale McGee has to shoot.
I don't know. It doesn't seem crazy, but I guess
I'm pretty sure
it's
it's the record. I might be
it's still the
wrong.
record. So
I think it's the record. They hit 36 in one game, 36 straight in one game, and then hit 43 or the other seven
yeah,
around in the other 2 games. So still a record as
someone needs
far
to
as I
beat
know, but
that.
I
Come on.
could be wrong. Yeah, get it together, guys. In 1970, the franchise was named the Carolina Cougars because, of course, they thought, we're going to go with the model that always works. Tell them, Dave.
The regional
The
model.
regional franchise. So they played
Love to
in
see
3 different cities. And to be fair to them, the first season was better than the first two in Houston, but they were still swept out of the playoffs. Then the next year, they took a big step back because their record dropped off quite a bit, but they did do something very important for the future. Management made a push to sign one of the NBA's best defensive players, small forward Joe Caldwell. So
Joe
he jumped
Caldwell.
leagues. He put up
Okay.
23 points and 7 rebounds that year, made the All Star team, and finished in 12th in MVP voting. And in 1972, things were looking even better because they'd done a few things. One, they had drafted a guy named Jim McDaniels, who was a 7-footer who had just led Western Kentucky to the Final Four and was, supposed to be like, this is going to be our big defensive anchor in the front court. He's going to be great. Is it front court or back court? I always get it confused. Front court is for bigs, right?
Uh, Front court.
Yeah. And they also brought in a guy named Tom Mischeri to coach. And Mischeri was a one-time All-Star who played mostly with the Warriors, but he had just retired from playing with the Supersonics the year before, and he was ready to make a name for himself. So here is Thomas Cherry describing what happened that season. I mean, how was I to know that Joe Caldwell, who was supposed to be my star, didn't want to play and had no interest in anything I had to say? How could I know that my great rookie, Jim McDaniels, would jump leagues at midseason? My owner, Todd Munchik, was a guy who took $6,000 and turned it into millions. He always told me that he didn't know much about basketball, but he also liked to tell me what to do. McDaniels wasn't even close to being a big time pro player when he signed. He was a face the basket, 7-foot jump shooter. He had some speed and some skills with the ball, but he was the worst defensive player I had ever seen as a big man who was supposed to be a high draft pick coming out of college. He couldn't guard anybody. With some patience and some hard work, he could have been a pretty good power forward in the NBA, but he was never going to be a franchise center in either league, yet he was supposed to be that for us. So things looked promising before the season started, but as Ms. Cherry mentioned, McDaniels jumped to the Seattle Supersonics midway through the season. Now, to his credit, McDaniels, during his first few games in the ABA, and it was like 50 games, put up about 27 points and 14 rebounds a night.
Dang. Okay.
But there's a reason you've never heard of him. And
Yeah.
that's because when he moved to the NBA, he basically did nothing.
Oh, yikes.
So, I will say though, like it was kind of justified him jumping because he signed one of those classic ABA contracts, which
Yeah.
they told him they were
No,
going to,
like guaranteed money.
yeah, they told him they were going to pay him $1.425 million. And then they deferred 1.4 million of those dollars over 25 years. So they paid him $25,000 basically. So after
Ridiculous.
after he left, the Cougars sued the Sonics, and the two teams settled out of court, and McDaniels was officially a Seattle Supersonic. It's never been officially revealed what the settlement was, but reports claim that Seattle paid Carolina $400,000 and then gave McDaniels a $1.5 million deal. And then he went on to average like 3 points and 4 rebounds a night or something. So not
Yikes.
the best deal by Seattle. But hey, they won a title like a decade later, so who cares?
That's right.
You know that because that's your team.
One title's all that matters.
You guys have 2 now.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
1979 and 2025.
I've always thought that the Thunder should like be proud of the Sonics heritage.
Oh, I think you might be the only person that thinks that.
But yeah, I mean, people in Seattle really don't like that
No,
idea.
they hate you.
And
And the
people in
players hate
OKC, people in OKC are also like, we don't want that. But I'm like, well, then where does the championship exist? Like, if not in our history, then you know what I mean?
It's just in limbo,
That doesn't make any sense. Like, the banner should be somewhere. It's not fair that the banner. It's not fair to the banner.
Not fair to the yeah. We got to care about the banner feelings.
I
Now.
think we should put.
Never mind.
I think we should put the banner, a Sonics banner, in the arena. And I know they hate that, but y'all don't have it in your arena, so it has to go somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. It's got to be somewhere. But I mean,
Probably
like
the museum of
Uh-oh, we lost Dave, so I'm going to keep talking. I will say,
Seattle,
oh, no,
like
here he's back.
the mayor probably has it in his desk.
Yeah, but all I know is that Gary Payton really hates Oklahoma City. Like, really, really hates you guys.
Okay,
He
that's
just
on Gary Payton though. No,
absolutely hates you. I mean, he is a
whatever.
hater. He is definitely a hater, but still.
Him and
All right.
Kevin Durant getting into it. I think we should be on that. I think we should be on Gary Payton's side. Is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, you don't like Kevin Durant now?
I don't have anything against Kevin Durant, but
I see how
he
it
has a
is.
lot against OKC, and OKC has a lot against him.
Does he? He doesn't like you guys. Don't like Kevin Durant? I guess yeah, that makes sense. You guys don't like him. I feel
He
like,
like just like a fresh interview like a week ago, bit talking crap.
but does he talk crap about like the city, or does he talk crap about like the ownership?
I know you know who Anthony Morrow is because he was an Oklahoma State guy.
Anthony Morrow did not play at Oklahoma State.
I thought he was Oklahoma State.
No, but I do know who Anthony Morrow is because I am a
Okay,
basketball historian.
he was on OKC for like 2 years when KD
Yeah,
was here.
yeah, I know.
And he came out and said, like, I don't know what Kevin Durant's problem is. We had a good organization and a good team, and he's like being disrespectful.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know why Kevin Durant has. I mean, other than like, his people burned his jersey and stuff and all that, but they called him a
he def
cupcake.
he definitely seems like the kind of, I mean, not that like Oklahoma City fans weren't obviously like mad about it in the moment, but he definitely seems like the kind of guy who like makes up reasons to be mad about stuff.
100%. Yes.
Like,
Which is, it's funny. He's very funny.
yeah,
So I don't
he's
care,
very
but
good.
I
All right,
also
so
think there will be an apology someday and we will like hang his jersey and stuff. I think people are
yeah, maybe.
overreacting.
I don't know. I wouldn't like. I probably wouldn't retire his jersey. I mean, I guess he won an MVP there, but like, I don't think I'd retire his number.
He's also, I think, still like the third leading scorer of all time.
Yeah, but he's
He did a whole bunch of like community service when he was here.
I think Kevin Durant doesn't. This is very me. Like maybe he could get retired at Golden State, but I think he kind of doesn't deserve to have his number retired because he's been to
Dang.
so many different places.
I think if it was going to be somewhere, it would be OKC.
But how many years did he play there before he left?
Like seven,
Okay,
eight,
maybe that's enough. I don't know. Like I think LeBron probably deserves to have his number retired in Miami and in
Cleveland.
Cleveland, but I don't think he should get retired in LA.
What if KD signs his last year? What if he's 42? He signs a 1 year deal in OKC
Maybe
to
I don't
win
know.
a
I would be
championship.
more open to Russell Westbrook getting his number retired than Kevin Durant if I was a Thunder fan.
Oh, yeah, that's not like a question.
Okay.
That's a
I would be more like I would want I mean he doesn't deserve to have his number retired by any means, but like Serge Ibaka more than Kevin Durant.
no. Russ will have his jersey retired the day after he announces his retirement. I think KD will have like a. I think he will call him or Sam Presti will call the other one, and they'll start a campaign where over the years he like
Mm,
softens his heart and says nice things, and then the
maybe.
fans start to accept him again, and then one day they're like, "It's been 20 years since Kevin Durant played. It's he's in the Oklahoma Hall of Fame.
The Oklahoma Hall of Fame for
Yeah,
what?
for all the community service that he did while he was here. He was
Okay.
he was inducted while he was here, of
That's
course, but
yeah, okay.
I mean we
I don't know, man.
we need people, you know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of
You got Blake Griffin, Trey Young.
what have they done for Oklahoma?
They're from Oklahoma. What do you mean?
Yeah, but they don't like I don't know how much they're giving back, you know? I don't know.
I think it should be if you're from there. Like he shouldn't even be in the Texas Hall of Fame. He's got to be in like the Washington D.C. Hall of Fame.
If you donate millions of dollars
Nah,
to Oklahoma causes while
nah,
you live here,
nah, not for me.
yeah.
I have different standards. All right, let's go back to this team. So Caldwell, Joe Caldwell, who had come over from the NBA, definitely thought he was above the league. At one point, he wanted to have his own TV show because he just thought I should have a TV show
Yeah.
because I
Okay.
deserve it.
Love to see it.
And the Cougars actually made it happen. He actually did have a show, but it was absolutely terrible. And so
Okay.
they
Did
canceled
you
it
watch
after.
it or
No, I that just
okay.
reports. Reports at the
Okay.
time said it was absolutely terrible. So it didn't last for very long, and then he sued the team for canceling the show. And that was a pretty common thing
Love
for
it.
Joe Caldwell. He just liked to sue people all the time.
Okay.
So like one time Thomas Cherry had happened to like be pretty big in like the carpet business.
Okay.
So he said, "Hey, Joe," he's like, "Yeah, Joe, I can help you like learn the carpet business," and got him a pretty big contract with a big client. And Joe mismanaged or mismeasured how much carpet he needed and had too much. So he sued Miss Cherry for to get the money back.
Damn.
And he was reportedly still suing Miss Cherry and the owners of the Carolina Cougars for breach of contract as recently as the early 1990s.
Okay. Wow.
And here's where I reveal something about Joe Caldwell that you will know
Okay.
is because uh, his grandson I think is currently playing in the NBA,
Oh,
or at least
okay.
was in the last 5 years. Can you guess who his grandson is?
The
I will
same
say
name?
probably not because I have a different last name.
Okay.
He played for
Um,
North Carolina. I know he played
okay.
for the Hornets at one point. I think he played for the Pistons.
Mm, uh, um, no.
He's a big guy.
Um,
Marvin Bagley the third is his
oh,
grandson.
Marvin Bagley. He was the Kings, right?
Maybe
Not
I don't.
the
I
Hornets.
maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't remember. He's played for a lot of
Anyways,
teams. I feel like.
that was the Luca draft, right?
I think so.
That's
I think
nuts.
Bagley was pretty high up in that
I
draft.
think he was two.
Yeah.
It was Aiton, Bagley,
DeAndre
Trey,
Ayton.
Luca, right?
Oh Lord. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah, wild. So the Cougars did miss the playoffs that year, but there was some hope, even despite everything that was happening, because in 1970 they had signed another NBA player, a guy you probably don't know, but was one
Okay.
of the best defensive players of his era, an
Okay.
incredible defensive big named Billy Cunningham.
Yeah, I've heard that name before, I think.
Okay.
Does
So
he have like a 2K card or something?
probably, I mean, it doesn't everybody.
Everyone has 2K. My bad.
So the league rules at the time, we've talked about this before. The NBA had, I can't remember what the rule was called, but you like it was like a year. If your contract ended, you had to wait a year before you could go play at another place.
Yeah, okay.
So he had to wait a year before his contract was up with the 76ers. So he wasn't going to become, he didn't come in 1970 despite agreeing to a deal. He was going to be there in 1973 because of the way his contract worked.
Okay.
And it's probably a lot more complicated than that, but let's just make it easy.
Yeah.
However, before Cunningham could get there, Miss Cherry decided that he could not stand the owner, so he just quit the team. He was like, I'm done, not going to coach here anymore. I don't think he ever went back to coaching. He hated it so much after this 1 year. And the Cougars decided to bring in a special hitter, somebody we all know very well, a big ABA name. Larry
Okay.
Brown was going to be the coach.
Yeah, we know Larry Brown.
So he'd recently hurt his hip and knew his career was about to be over. So he took a $30,000 a year deal to start his coaching career with the Carolina Cougars.
Okay.
And in 1973, Billy Cunningham won the MVP with 24 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals a night. They
Okay.
also added Mac Calvin to the mix, giving them a point guard who could play with Cunningham, and he put up 17.5 points a night. And even Joe Caldwell decided he was going to play this year. He finished in fourth for MVP voting and made the first team all defensive team. Now, a lot of the reason that Joe Caldwell had a turnaround was because of the excellent coaching of Larry Brown and his longtime best friend Doug Moe, who had been brought in as an assistant. So here's Gene Littles explaining how the team works. So when Larry Brown was hired, so Gene Littles was a player on the team, by the way. When Larry
Okay.
Brown was
Yep.
hired, and I should say before, sorry, should have said this earlier, every quote I use is from Loose Balls by Terry Pluto. Great book. There's a lot more to this story that I didn't include because I didn't want to just read from the book the whole time, but there's a lot more fun quotes from this franchise. So definitely worth reading even after you've heard this story. Okay, here's Gene Littles. When Larry Brown was hired, it was exactly what we needed. The guys knew and respected Larry and Doug because they'd played in the ABA and they also knew what we could do. I liked how Larry played, his unselfishness, and his ability to read his teammates. He has a real knack for knowing what players are thinking and what they worry about. He knew that players wanted to know what was expected of them. His practices were the same most days. His substitution patterns were the same in most games. His main rule was that if you practiced hard and played hard, you got your minutes. He was a coach who had no surprises, and the players appreciated that. He also knew that there were times when the guys were down, and he'd say, "Here's my credit card. Go out and have dinner on me. Just be ready to play hard tomorrow."
Love it.
I also have to point out that Larry Brown regularly on the sidelines, instead of wearing a suit or anything, like you would expect a coach to wear, was wearing Oshkosh Bagosh farmer's overalls.
Okay. Love to hear it.
You
Isn't that like a
imagine?
child's brand?
That's what I thought. I think it didn't used to be, but it
Okay.
has become that. But yeah, just wearing farmer overalls to coach a basketball game,
Yeah, I kind of love it.
professional basketball game.
I
Imagine
kind of love it.
Coach Spo showing up in his overalls.
Okay, Spo doesn't make any sense, but
I don't use the first one that came to mind. Who would make
Dagnall
sense is the real.
also,
Who would make sense? Which coach would it make sense to wear overalls to a game?
like
Who
someone in,
who's like the most
Indiana or
redneck coach?
Oklahoma. I can't think of like a redneck. A Tiago Splitter,
We've
that
really
wouldn't
lost.
surprise me.
Yeah, we've really lost the redneck coach.
Yeah,
Got to bring
what's
him
going
back.
on? If Bobby Knight had,
Bobby.
that would make sense to me.
Yeah, we got to bring back the redneck coach.
Especially in football. That would be awesome if some of the
Oh, I
football
could see
coaches
Bill
were
Belichick
wearing.
wearing overalls.
Yes, I'm for it.
Bill Belichick in overalls and his cutoff hoodie.
Yeah, sponsored by Carhartt.
And then his girlfriend would also be wearing overalls, standing right next to
God.
him, just to make sure everything's going correctly. So one of the reasons Caldwell might have played well is, besides like the good coaching, is that Doug Moe just like literally refused to take any of his shit. So on the very first day, on the very first day of practice, Moe, who was the assistant, kicked him out of practice for not hustling. Caldwell said that an assistant coach could not tell him what to do. And Moe said, quote, "Get your ass out of here. We only won 35 games last year with you here, and we can win that many without you." So
Okay,
then he left the
good to hear.
game. He left the practice, but then he came back and played pretty well in the next game. And to everyone's credit, the team finished with a 57-27 record, the best
Yeah.
mark in the Eastern Division.
Yes,
They
sir.
took down the pre-Dr. J Nets in 5 games in the semifinals, but lost in the Eastern Finals to the Colonels in a 7-game slugfest. They weren't quite as successful in 74, but Brown and Moe led them back to the playoffs. However, with the NBA merger picking up steam, the league knew that the regional model was not going to work in the NBA. So owner Ted Munchak was looking to get out after Cunningham went back to Philly, and so he sold Matt Calvin, Steve Jones, and a few other key players for cash. So the team has lost like pretty much all of its good players. They're running. They want to get out of Carolina. So
Mm,
thankfully, there was a duo of brothers looking to buy a team. The Silna
okay.
brothers were coming to town. Ozzie and Daniel Silna came to the U.S. in the 1930s. Now, uh, I'll let you guess why they came to the U.S. in the 1930s, but just say the reason you're thinking is the true
Okay.
reason.
Yep.
Their
Yep.
father started a textile business, and the two brothers would become pioneers in the manufacture of polyester,
Okay.
which
Fun.
made them incredibly rich in the early 70s.
Okay. Good for them.
Now, despite being rich, they weren't the best decision makers. So they wanted to get into basketball. That was like their big thing. We got to get into basketball. This is the place to do it. And the Detroit Pistons were up for sale for $5.1 million.
Okay.
The Silnas offered 4.7 million, and neither side would budge off of either number. So no, they wouldn't come down, they wouldn't come up. And then the next year, the Pistons made the playoffs, and the asking price went up to $8.5 million
On one playoff appearance.
on
Wow.
one playoff. So the Silnas essentially missed out on making $3 million in a single season.
Yeah. It's nuts.
So despite that setback, they were still looking for a team, and Munchak only wanted 1.5 million for the Cougars. So
Easy.
they decided with their lawyer that they were going to make it happen. And
How do
they
we buy
said,
2 teams?
for real. And they were like, "Hey, you know what? We need to move them from Carolina. Let's go to St. Louis because I think it's the 8th largest market in the US at the time and did not have a basketball team. So
Yeah.
I think it was the biggest market in the US without a pro team. So they said, let's go here. But the thing is they did not want to leave their textile empire in New York.
Okay.
So they brought in a guy called Harry Weltman to actually run the team in St. Louis.
Okay.
So now they had a city, they had a GM, and now they needed a name. And here is Harry Weltman describing exactly how they came across their name. We were fishing for a nickname, and we must have gone through 1,000 names. We wanted something that would be indigenous to the St. Louis community, something that would be memorable on a logo and sell the team with a certain image. Which I think it's never mind. I won't get into it. We talked about the
Okay.
St. Louis Arch. I just the phrase indigenous is weird to me, but
Oh.
we talked about the St. Louis Arch. But I could just see us losing a few games and being called the Fallen Arches. Too many bad
Hmm.
jokes. I didn't want to be the basketball Cardinals. There were already two baseball and football Cardinals, which was probably one Cardinals too many. So if you don't know, the Arizona Cardinals used to be in St. Louis before they moved. So that's what he's talking to at that point. One day, we were negotiating with Sidney Solomon, who owned the St. Louis Blues hockey team and the arena we were going to play in. We were talking about playing dates or something, and Solomon said something about spirits. We
Okay.
said, that's not bad, but we don't want to be the St. Louis Spirits. Then we talked some more and got on the subject of Charles Lindbergh's plane, the spirit of
Okay.
St. Louis. I got very excited when I heard that. It was something that could really tie into the image we wanted. It was pure St. Louis and easily lent itself to a logo with an airplane. So that is how they became the Spirits of St. Louis. All right. So one of the first things they
I honestly thought it was gonna be that guy. They hired that guy as like a pilot to go with his plane back and forth.
that'd be
I definitely thought that's where you're headed.
that
The
would be
first when you
amazing.
said New York, and they
That
were
would
just
be
like,
amazing.
this plane is so badass. We gotta name the team this.
That would be great. So one of the first people that was brought into St. Louis was not a player. Well, actually, I mean there was some players brought in, but a guy that
Okay.
becomes very important for their story, and it's how we have a lot of the stories we have from the Spirits, is a guy named Bobby Costas.
Ooh, Bobby Costas. Bob Costas.
Bob
That's a
Costas,
this the Bob
the
Costas?
Bob Costas.
Okay.
So he was 22 years old, fresh out of Syracuse. He sent in a tape. They liked him. He became their play-by-play announcer, and he
Hmm.
had plenty of memorable moments over the years. I mean, he has had plenty of memorable moments over the years,
Yeah.
but specifically in St. Louis, he had 2 years there. We had some memorable moments, but nothing beats one of his early games that he called with Bill Wilkerson. So here is Bob Costas describing the end of a game that one of his very first games he called. The Spirits had a 7 point lead with about a minute to go. I turned to Wilkerson and said right on the air, Bill, it would seem that the Spirits have this one well in hand, but you can bet that the last thing Coach Bob McKinnon wants is to see a repeat of Friday night's blowjob.
Okay. That's a choice was made that day.
At that
That's pretty
moment,
nuts.
At that moment, I figured I was fired, but the engineer kept signaling me to keep talking, so I just did the rest of the game, and the Spirits won. Nothing happened. I guess the station was more amused than anything, and I still run into guys in St. Louis today who remember that game.
That is like I feel like if someone said that on my TV, I would be like, I'm gonna remember that name.
It's incredible. So on the court, the first thing they did was sign a guy named Marvin Bad News Barnes.
Mm.
The
Man,
six
Marvin Bagley should have gone as Marvin Bad News Bagley. That would have
Bagley,
been a
yeah. There's been like 3 or 4 guys that use the Bad News nickname. And
yeah.
some of it was because of like bad news because you have bad news, you're gonna play them. Some of them was bad news because like, oh, he is bad
Don't
news.
don't catch him outside the locker room.
I don't
Bad
know if you
news.
can guess which one this one's gonna be, but
Yeah, it's the ABA, so we know.
yeah. Honestly, a little bit of column A, column B. The 6'9" forward was drafted by Philly in the NBA, and Denver technically had his rights in the ABA, but Weltman really wanted him on the team. They moved quickly, cutting a deal with Denver and signing him before Philly could even get an offer in. They also signed a guy you might know named Maurice Lucas. Maurice Lucas?
I don't think so.
All right,
John's dad.
John Lucas, is that what you said?
I said John's dad.
As in the guy that played for Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
His dad is John Lucas.
Oh, he's
That's why he's
a
John
junior.
Lucas the third.
I
His
didn't know he
dad.
was a third. How am I
Yeah.
supposed to know that?
I mean, I don't know. I thought you were a
Also,
fan.
didn't he play in the NBA?
John Lucas's dad or him? But they both played in the NBA. To be clear,
Okay, there you go.
his brother also played in the NBA. Jai. Who knew?
There you go.
I did. So they signed Maurice Lucas. I'll explain why you might have known him later, but we won't get into it now. But he was another promising rookie, and they signed him out from under the nose of the Chicago Bulls. But they still needed it. They still needed some more players. So they had a training camp, but there weren't a lot of good players there. You know, they were okay. And then they started to field calls from several guys who claimed to be representing a player named Fly Williams.
Hmm. Okay.
Now, by the time he arrived in St. Louis, Fly was already a legend. He grew up in Brooklyn, but played his college ball at the P. Do you know what the P is?
Purdue.
No. See, Fly was recruited to play for Austin P, which is in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Hmm.
However,
Okay.
he assumed that it was in Austin, Texas, because Austin is in the name.
Yep.
So he flew down to Texas and
Nice.
he was asking just random people on the street, "Hey, where's the P?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "What are you talking about, sir?" And then he finally called the coach and he was like, "Hey man, there ain't no P here." And the coach explained that Austin P is in Tennessee, and that just confused him. He was like, "No, it's Austin. That's what it says on
Yep.
the name."
I'm,
And so he just decided to fly back home. Now,
okay.
eventually, he did end up going back to the school and playing there. He was putting up 31 points a night in the Little Red Barn. People were lining up for like 6 hours just to get into his games. Um, but he was like, he's just, I don't want to say an insane person, but he just did a
Okay.
lot of pretty wild stuff. Like there were reports of him to be in the middle of the games and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm thirsty." So he just dribbled the ball out of bounds and go out into the hall and get a drink of water from the water fountain and then come back into the game. Stuff like that.
He's just marching to the beat of his own drum.
Yeah. So he was a flamboyant player on and off the court, which made him a fan favorite. That said, his style of play didn't lead to much winning. For
Hmm.
example, in his very first game with the Spirits, he had a wide open layup. He could have easily just gone up, laid it in, even did a dunk, whatever, made an easy shot. He decided, "I'm going to do a 360 spin and try to make this layup." He tossed the ball over the backboard and then landed on his butt and missed. The guy could come off the bench and give you 30 points a night, you know, when he was on, but a lot of times he was not on. And because he didn't play team basketball, he was kind of a detriment more often than not.
Dang.
I mean, my man once got into a fight with his teammates during the pregame layup drill, the
Okay.
layup drill. He just
Yeah.
got mad at people on his team
Yeah.
and got in a fight. He was kind of, he beat, like you said, beat of his own drum. There were kind of like conflicting reports on was he any good or
Mm.
was he not. He was like 6'5", couldn't really dribble, but could kind of shoot. Some people said he sucked. Some people said he was probably should have he was could have been a lot better if he actually cared. But Fly is really only the beginning of the insanity that was playing for the Spirits.
Okay. I'm sorry. It's the Spirits of St.
Spirits,
Louis.
the Spirits of St. Louis.
That's crazy. What an idiotic name. So stupid. The plane was called Spirit
Yeah,
of St. Louis.
and they were the Spirits because there's more than one of them. You see,
Why not the St. Louis Spirits?
and they didn't like that.
That's I can't stand this. This makes me so mad. I'm sorry. Keep going.
So Joe Caldwell was still on the team. Remember the guy who was, he's kind of
Yeah.
a surly man who used to play in the NBA, a very good defender when he was playing well. And when Marvin Barnes showed up, he and Marvin started to become like really close friends.
Hey.
So Marvin had all the talent in the world, was when he was on, easily the best player on the team, like not even close. But he also really, really, really liked to party. He would show up to the team bus with several women on his arm, give him a kiss, tell him he was going to come back later. He'd show off with fancy cars. He'd drive his Rolls Royce everywhere around town. He'd be like, "Hey, you know what? I'm not going to do any media appearances. I'm not going to go to any practices. But what I will do to give back to the community is I'll pick up random kids off the street and take them to lunch. They can ride
Okay.
around with me in which is weird. First of all, just like, hey, I'm in my Rolls Royce, jump in my car, 6-year-old, and I'm going to take you to Dairy Queen.
6. I was thinking like 14.
I don't know. However old they were,
Which
it doesn't matter.
isn't better, but it's sorry, it isn't great, but it's better, right?
Yeah. So he'd take him to lunch. He'd give him his clothes.
Okay.
No big deal. That's not
Oh,
weird at all. The problem is that Caldwell started to play both sides of Barnes and the team. So he'd say, "Hey, look at Marvin. He's not showing up to practice. We should find him, coach. Why don't you find him? You need to find this guy." And then he'd go back
yikes.
around to Marvin after they find him and be like, "Man, I can't believe they're mistreating you so badly. How dare they do that to you? You're the best player on this team, champ. Come on, buddy." Actually, I think they called him BB because he had like a weird afro. But anyways, doesn't matter. So eventually, that led to Marvin. He would just leave the team. He would just be like, "I'm not playing." So like one time
Okay.
he
Yeah.
disappeared for a couple weeks. Um, but the thing is he's so good that they can't really do anything about him
Right.
not showing up to practice. He's the best player on the team, and the owners would just be like, "You got to play him. You got to play him." So he's the only person that's bringing people in on the fans in to the stadium. You have to keep playing this guy. So like Bad News would just walk into the game 20 minutes before it started. He would have a plate of steak and potatoes in his hand, just eating. And then he'd call up, while they're sitting there doing the pregame, not warm ups, but like planning, strategizing. Yeah, strategizing. He would say,
Strategizing.
he would call the arena and be like, "Hey, I got 5 women coming to this game to come watch me. You got to give them tickets." Like, not, he didn't care at all. He was just doing
Yeah.
whatever he wanted. And
I
then
love
he'd
this.
go into the games and drop 40 points and 20 rebounds. Like routine. This would happen all the time.
Yeah.
He was just
This is the
dominating
kind of
every
energy I need in my life. I love
game.
this.
Yeah. And you like one, you couldn't not play him because he was so good, but you also couldn't fine him because he didn't care. He would not pay it. And you could say, "Hey, we're going to fine you as much money as you want, but I'm not going to
Yeah.
give it to you." They were fining him $50 for every minute he was late, and it did not change an ounce of his behavior.
I love
Nothing
it.
changed.
It sounds like a real, it's like Kawhi's spirit animal, you know?
You say Kawhi?
Yeah.
You think Kawhi is this crazy?
He just, I mean, dude,
Just
you have
doesn't
no
care?
idea. Like,
Yeah.
no, like the coach would be like, yeah, he looks great in practice. Like he'll probably play. And then he
Oh
just
yeah.
like
Okay. Yeah.
plays for
Yeah.
7 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, well, my leg hurts. So, or
So
like they talk all week about how he's going to play. And then it's like DNP question mark.
yeah. So like I said, there were a ton of weird stories about Bad News during his pretty much his whole life, but I wrote here his early days, but really it's his whole life. What?
Yeah, this guy definitely had his own doctor and he would be like, I got a doctor's note that says I can't play. I'm sorry.
People claim that he had 13 telephones in his house, more than one per room.
Yeah.
He
I
wore
mean, why not?
he wore floor-length mink coats and platform shoes to games. It
Yeah.
really, I mean, it would have been a comedy act, but he was putting up 24 points and 16 rebounds every night as a rookie.
Yeah.
So,
That's amazing.
yeah. Plus, later in the season, things actually started to turn around. They were really bad at first because they were playing all these young guys who were kind of not very good, didn't really play together. But late in the season, they signed a guy named Don Adams, who had
Okay.
just been cut from the Pistons. He was one of the toughest rebounders of the era, but when he showed up, he was kind of getting a little fat. He was balding. So Fly and Marvin started to make fun of him a bunch because they were like, "Oh, this old geezer's coming to play with us. He can't play with us, blah, blah, blah." And then in a game against the Spurs, Marvin got into it with Sven Nader, who was another. I think at this point he was maybe a second year, but we've definitely talked about Sven in the past. And like the way it was described is that they got into it. Barnes like put his dukes up, but was like backing away. Like, "I don't want to
Okay.
fight you, but I'm going to pretend like I want to fight you."
Right.
And then as Sven Nader was like walking towards him, Don Adams came up behind Sven Nader and punched him in the head and knocked him out
Hey.
in one shot.
Oh God.
And supposedly this was the catalyst for the team all coming together.
Okay. Hey, if that's what it takes.
So they had Don Adams, they had Steve Jones, they had Freddie Lewis, a couple of veterans who were like finally earned the respect of these youngsters because they kept just like, I mean, basically they would just beat the shit out of people, and then they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, these guys are real dudes. Like we better respect them." So they finished the season 32 and 52, but it was the ABA, so they still made the playoffs. I mean, it was worse than the East is nowadays.
Oh God. Good
A-
shot.
And somehow they beat Julius Irving and the Nets in 5 games in the first round.
That's nuts.
Four and
That's got
one
to be a
against Dr.
blemish on
J.
Dr. J's record. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is like one of the most incredible upsets in playoff history. Barnes was incredible, like dropping, 35 plus every game, just
Yeah.
absolutely dominating. And in like the closing game, Don Adams held Dr. J to 6 points.
Good Lord.
So now, of course, they
I
did
love
lose
this
to,
team.
yeah, they did lose to Kentucky in the next round, but that should have been Marvin Barnes's coming out party, signaling he was going to be the league's biggest star, or one of the league's biggest stars at least. Unfortunately, Coach McKinnon, the guy who had helped orchestrate the turnaround, had played the young guys at the start of the season and then brought in the older guys to make it work. He decided he was going to leave the team and go back to the Buffalo Braves. Now, it's very funny in hindsight because a lot of the players would say that the reason he left was because Fly and Barnes had aged him like 10 years in a year, just trying to
Yeah.
like handle those guys. But his reasoning for wanting to leave was because he felt a sense of security in coaching the Buffalo Braves, who, as we know, don't exist anymore because they
Did not
moved.
work out.
But it was like
Yeah.
my family lives there, you know, they're
Mm,
relatively stable franchise, it seems like to me. And
right.
then in 3 years they were gone. So
Yeah.
his idea of stability was a bad one. So they brought in a guy called Rod Thorne, and then they signed a couple of guys, Don Chaney and ML Carr, who were going to be like help out on the wing. And they'd actually wanted Chaney when they were in Houston, but he had played for the Celtics. And the rumor at the time was basically that Weltman was like, I got to have a Celtic. I don't care which Celtic it is. I got to sign somebody from the Celtics. We got to get a Celtic. So we got Don Chaney. Hey, look at that. There's a Celtic playing for us. Isn't that a big deal? But the idea was
At
like
least
these
one.
guys, yeah, the idea was these guys were going to like form a kind of make it a little bit more balanced around Barnes and Maurice Lucas.
Okay. Yep.
Of course, as we always know,
That's the
never
ABA.
works out. So the first thing that happened was Steve Jones, who was often cited as the Spirit's source of sanity, decided to leave the team. Uh,
Yikes.
so
Okay.
now they have a leadership void. Then Don Chaney, they're Celtic. They got a Celtic, right? First couple of games, tears his knee up, doesn't play for the rest of the season.
Yikes. Okay.
There was also this whole thing, which we don't have to really get into, but I'll just mention it quickly. They signed a guy named Lonnie Shelton, who was
Okay.
playing for Oregon State, and there was a bunch of lawsuits and stuff where he was like, oh, I'm going to go play there, and they were like, oh, he signed this contract under duress because after they offered him the contract, he went on the town with Marvin Barnes, and Marvin Barnes got him really drunk and was like, hey, you got to sign this deal, man. And they were like, oh, he
And he
did
was
this
still
under
in
duress.
college,
Yeah, he was still in
like
college.
just surpassed the draft, just
Yeah,
signed
no,
straight to
we're
the
not going to
team.
worry about the draft. Just sign this guy.
Okay. Great.
So he didn't end up going, and somehow the NCAA was like, "Yeah, you can still play your senior year. That's fine," which would not fly today, but it doesn't matter. So in the second season, after all that stuff happened, Marvin just kept being Marvin. He brought an unloaded gun to the locker room. His pregame meal was hot dogs and Twinkies, and the guy absolutely hated showing up on time for plane flights. So the famous story that everybody tells about Marvin Barnes, it's one of the first stories you'll ever hear about him, is that he noticed when they were going to get on a flight that there was, because of the time change, the flight was going to leave Louisville, Kentucky at 8 a.m. and arrive in St. Louis at 7:59 a.m.
Okay.
So Barnes announced, I ain't getting on no time machine. I ain't taking no flight that takes me back in time.
Hey, I respect it.
One other time he missed a flight, and to get to the game on time, he had to charter a private plane. So they're all sitting around. All the players are there. They're in a meeting, going over the strategy. And 10 minutes before the game, Marvin bursts in the room. He's wearing a mink coat. He's got a bag full of McDonald's. He opens his coat. Marvin's got his jersey on. He said, "Have no fear, baby. BB is here."
Dang. We
He
need
didn't.
this guy on in NBA Twitter.
He didn't start that game. They were like, "Oh, we're not going to start him because he was late." But he finished with 43 points and 19 rebounds.
Oh my
And
Lord.
at halftime, the pilot came into the huddle and demanded he give him his money because he wouldn't rely on Marvin Barnes to send him a check.
Yep. Love it.
So before the season, I do have to point out that Marvin Barnes spent most of the 1976 training camp away from the team because he was on trial for allegedly hitting a child with a tire iron.
Yikes.
He also disappeared at times during the season, and by like relatively early in the season, Maurice Lucas was starting to get sick of it. This guy was a true pro. very hardworking, always on time. He was extremely into stretching, like one of the most nimble guys the league had ever seen. He didn't eat red meat, just chicken and fish. He did once get into a fight with Artis Gilmore, who was like 4 inches taller than him. But but other than that fight that he won, by the way, he was a consummate pro. So Lucas was like, I want out of here. Get me out. I can't stand playing for this team. So he got traded to
Mm,
Kentucky. He
okay.
then went on to become a 5-time All Star and 1-time NBA champion with the Portland Trailblazers. So he was playing with the Bill Walton Trailblazers.
Okay.
So soon after Lucas left, Rod Thorne was out because he was tired of yelling at Marvin. He said, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. So the team brought in a guy named Joe Mulaney, who had coached with the Lakers, Colonels, Stars, and whatever Memphis was calling itself when he was there. So the famous story about Mulaney is that he was before a game, he was sitting there, Marvin wasn't there, of course, waiting for Marvin. Where's Marvin? And one of the assistant coaches comes up to him and is like, hey, Marvin just called. He said he's going to be a little late. And the coach was like, well, he's not here now. And he's like, well, but this is a good thing. You're the first coach that Marvin has had that he has called to tell he was going to be late. So he must like you.
Okay. Yeah. We're evolving.
So Mulaney tried to find Barnes as much as he could for showing up late, but then he learned that Marvin already over like a year and a half had accumulated $26,000 in fines for showing up late to games and
Oh
practices.
dang. Okay. Yeah.
And then he was like, well, let's just suspend him without pay. And they said, you can't do that because if you do that, Marvin's just going to leave and he'll never come back. So Mulaney would later say that if he'd known what he knew what he knew now, he would never have signed up. No, not in a million years. Still, there were some things that happened in 1976 that could have turned it around for the team. As we've talked about previously, in that last year of the ABA, the Utah Stars were on the verge of folding, and there were actually talks about the two teams merging and the Spirits moving to Utah
Mm,
to become
okay.
the Utah Spirits or something. I don't know.
Spirit of the Stars.
The Spirit of the Stars. That, of course, did not happen, but when the Stars were about to fold, they did sell Moses Malone, Ron Boone, and several other good players to the Spirits just before they went down the tube. So
Nice.
they had a pretty solid lineup, right? Moses Malone, Ron Boone, Marvin Barnes, Steve Jones, some other guys were there. Pretty solid squad, but they still sucked. And fans did not show up. They were routinely drawing about 500
Oh no.
fans toward the end of that season, and they ended with a record of 35-49, which was sixth in the NBA and out of the playoffs.
Damn.
But the story does not end there. Now, last time I told you to
Okay.
remember what happened to the Colonels, right?
Yeah, but I didn't.
Okay. So the Colonels sold their team. Well, we'll talk about it actually. So the Silna brothers still own the team, and they had kept it afloat as the league neared a merger with the NBA. However, they kind of cared about joining the NBA, but it wasn't like a be all end all. Like they definitely wanted to join, but they also
Okay.
were like trying to be smart businessmen.
Oh, I thought they cared about the basketball specifically. Like, why shouldn't they want to be a part of the big league or whatever?
So basically, what I'm saying is like they wanted to have an NBA team. It didn't need to be the Spirits.
Oh, okay.
So like it was like, oh, if we can get a deal to get another team or like get enough money
Right.
to later get another team, we would do that. But we don't necessarily need to have the Spirits in here. And either way you look at it, the NBA didn't want them.
Oh, okay.
So there were 7 teams that finished the 76 season, and only 4 of them made it into the NBA. Now, the Squires actually folded right after the season, so they were completely out of it.
Okay.
The Colonels negotiated a $3.3 million buyout, which is $18.2 million in 2024. And then after that, as we've talked about previously, their owner, who said, I'm done with basketball, I never want to be involved in basketball ever again, a couple of years later bought the Buffalo Braves and then traded them to the Boston Celtics. The Spirits decided we're going to hold out for more money than that. We want a little bit more. We know we have a good market. We don't want to give up too easily. So
Hmm.
let's see what we can get. Ultimately, the Silna brothers deal, the Silna brothers and their lawyer, I should say, because he did get 10% of all of this, was 2.2 million in cash up front and an additional 1/7 share of each of the 4 remaining teams' television broadcast revenue quote, for as long as the NBA or its successors continues in existence.
No way.
At the time, the TV money wasn't too big of a deal,
Yeah.
but it still meant that the brothers would essentially get 2% of the total TV money for the NBA in perpetuity for the rest of the league's existence.
Okay.
On top of that, they stipulated that the share could not drop below a 28 team league. So when the league expanded to 30 teams, their share actually increased compared to the other former ABA teams in the league.
Okay.
Now, the brothers still did want to join the league eventually and hoped to parlay the deal into a team at some point, but the NBA elected to pay them instead, and they never bought a team. In 1981, the first year that the deal was in existence, the brothers and their lawyers made $521,000 to do essentially nothing.
Yes. And
Then
they, okay. Sorry.
the league exploded in popularity.
Yes.
Through the 80s, the Silna brothers made millions. In the 90s, they made $4.4 million a year to do literally nothing.
Right. Yep.
From 99 to 2001, they pocketed at least $12.5 million. From '03 to '06, they brought in 15.6 mil to sit on their butts.
Yep.
By 2014, the deal was costing the three former ABA teams $5 million a year. As of the end of 2014, the brothers had made $300 million despite never owning a team that played in the NBA or paying any of the costs related to owning a team.
Yeah. The true Bobby Bonilla here.
In 2014, the former ABA clubs and the Silna brothers announced a settlement. The brothers were paid $500 million up front, and the ABA took a majority share of the Spirits organization the Spirits LLC with an option to purchase the Silna's remaining stake in the future, which turned out to be a great deal for the NBA given that the $77 billion contract they recently signed, which they would have made a ton of money off of.
Yeah.
So,
Golly. I thought you were going to say they're still 2% owners. And I was like, these are the richest people alive.
I mean, they do. I think they do own a very small stake still. I don't think they've completely bought them out, but yeah,
Wow.
it is wild.
I love that for them.
Yeah. So to just end us real quick, Ozzy Silna passed away in 2016, but his brother Daniel seems to still be alive as far as I could tell. And as for Marvin Bad News Barnes, he joined the Pistons after the merger and bounced around the league for several years. By 1980, he was playing in the Continental Basketball League. He unfortunately got really big into drugs, even snorting coke on the Celtics bench in 1979, and did a
Yikes.
stint in prison before living homeless for a bit in the 80s. He ultimately got clean and moved back to his hometown where he did youth outreach, but sadly he went back to his addiction in the 2010s and passed away the same year the Silnas signed that deal in 2014.
Wow.
And that is the story of probably the best deal in basketball history.
That's nuts. I did not think that's where we were headed, but wow.
That crazy. Wow.
I wish the team still existed, but I guess for those guys,
Yeah,
good,
why
good
would
that it
they? They're
doesn't.
glad it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Dang,
So not only is it a
that's
crazy
impressive.
team, but a crazy story.
I can see why we left them for last. The whole time I was like, the Nets are the best. You know, how could you not? But that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What if I wish I could sign that deal? That'd be great.
Yeah, of course. I would give away. Yeah, any job that I had where they're like, you want to take a chance that you get
Yeah,
paid to do nothing? Yes, please.
for real. Yeah, that'd be great. That's what my YouTube is going to be in my retirement because I'll still have those videos making
Oh
money.
yeah, just recirculating.
Hoping, probably not, but
Believe
it'd
in
be
you.
great. All right, you got anything else you want to talk about the real NBA? Congrats to the Knicks.
That's right, baby.
Sucks to
Eastern
suck.
Conference. What is it?
More congrats to my Spurs.
Oh yeah, Spurs look good.
For our audio our audio listeners, I am wearing my Spurs shirt today
Spurs look really
and my
good.
Vancouver Grizzlies sweater. To be fair, but
Great win over the Thunder. Um, I really thought they had the Knicks a lot there,
I
but
wish they would have. That would have been great.
you
It's
know,
kind of annoying that the old teams are the ones who have won it so far. You know what I mean? Like there's not been a young because like the Lakers won it the first year, right? They're all old. Then it was the
who was it the first
Bucks.
year? Bucks last year.
It was the
Maybe it was the
Lakers.
Lakers. Yeah,
Lakers, Bucks,
first one.
Knicks. All the old people are winning,
Yeah,
which I think, I mean, I don't really understand. I mean, okay. I don't really understand the NBA Cup thing in general, like why we bother with this thing,
yeah,
but I guess it is good for like the younger. So you'd think the younger teams would be more hungry to try to win it because they don't make as much money, but evidently it really
yeah.
matters to guys making $60 million a year that they need to go win that
Their
game.
team also. I mean, they care about
That's
their
why I think
teammates,
your starters should not be allowed to play in the final. I think it should be all bench players.
but they want to do right for their
Yeah.
team. So,
So, but is who does it matter to? I think you should have to have a reverse lineup.
hmm, start with your.
Start with your bench players, and then you can play like Jalen Brunson for like 5 minutes a game. That's it,
Yeah,
because it
I
doesn't
don't hate
matter to
it.
them, at least for the
Yeah,
final. Obviously, like
it does matter.
the other games do count for your regular season record, but the final, I think, I think it should be on the guys that are making the most money. It should
I
be
I see what you're
contract order.
saying, but yeah,
Contract order is how you should do it.
yeah, I see what you're saying, but I do. I was like, Adam Silver got booed at one point.
Deserved.
And my wife was like, "Why?" Because that happened. He was at the Thunder ring ceremony this
Yeah,
year, and we were there, and he got booed. And my wife was like, "Why does everyone hate Adam Silver?" And I was like, "There's a lot of reasons, but I think the main one is this: the presentation of this NBA Cup is like more than they've done for any NBA Finals in the last
yeah,
10 years. Like
yeah,
they've ruined the whole like pizzazz of the whole thing, and now they've got this cup that they're like treating like the biggest thing that's ever happened. Like if they
yeah.
would treat the finals like this, I think
It'd be
he'd get
nice.
a little bit of his points back.
It'd be nice. Yeah, he kind of sucks.
I honestly was like, I don't really know why people hate him. I just know they do.
Well,
I know
I
no one on
mean,
the internet's super positive about him.
it's like he just says stuff, right? He'll be like, "Oh, you can watch our games on YouTube. Watch the highlights on YouTube."
Hmm.
No, we want to watch the actual game, guy. Come on.
Put him on YouTube for free. That'd be great.
That would be great. I would watch.
Who's doing that? The Oscars.
Yeah, the Oscars. It's something everyone watches.
I do.
You and people over the age of 55 watch the Oscars.
Oh, come on. Oscars are great.
For what?
Movies. The
Who
Oscars are, I mean,
No.
I think all award shows are kind of dumb. The
Oscars is just like
Oscars is the
Hollywood
best of
jerking
all.
themselves off. No, it's
Oh,
not. It's
come on.
terrible.
It's the
They
best
don't
of
even pick
all.
good movies half the time.
Mm, I don't know if that's true. I think the movie that wins is usually like the most like you know it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like you can tell which movie's gonna win. It's always like about the industry or like it's always some,
Yeah,
but they nominate well.
I guess. I just think like I don't know.
I'm in a
I
poll where we track every year like who you think is gonna win.
Yeah,
And everyone picked I can't remember what movie it was last year, but like it was the favorite for sure. And I picked Anora because I was like, I think this movie is awesome.
yeah,
And then at the day before the Oscars, I was like, you know what? I'm going with my heart, and I'm switching to Dune 2, even though I knew it wasn't going to win. And then Anora won, and I was like, damn it, I would have been. I almost had like a perfect slate, but I switched to the last second.
yeah. I think it just seems like because and it has gotten better, I will say, but especially in the past when they like wouldn't nominate popular movies, right? They just
Mm,
nominate like the Oscar bait movies.
yeah,
And I'm not saying those movies aren't good, but I am saying like it feels like you have to hit a certain like, oh, we're gonna a certain number of people are gonna cry in this movie or something. You know, like it can't just be
yeah,
like, oh, this is a really good movie.
right.
You know, I don't
Like
know.
Dark Knight never got because it's a superhero movie,
Yeah,
and it never got nominated, which is insane.
but like I think a lot of it comes down like what is deciding best picture? Like like what I mean by that is like I'm just looking at your background for people who are listening to this. He has a lot of VHS covers, right?
Yeah,
So I would argue that if you go by what it's setting out to do, in
Okay.
some ways, you could say like a Wayne's World is a better movie than some of the movies that have won Best Picture because what it's setting
Mm.
out to do is to be a
Is be
comedy,
yeah.
right? So I just think like we have decided what a Best Picture is, and that shouldn't. It's just like a one. I don't understand why that's our definition.
I mean, it's a all the people in Hollywood, like producers, actors, and stuff, vote on what they think, and
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
could say
but
they're snobby, but I
yeah,
mean,
that's
it
and
is like
that's
a
they are snobby.
well, it's their. I mean, that's the definition of any award. You know what I mean?
I guess so. I think like the video game industry, as much as they don't actually show the awards, does a better job of being more all encompassing of like every genre, every style,
Yeah,
like
that's
could
true.
win, right?
Yeah,
Whereas like, again, you have to be like a biopic or something to win an Oscar.
biopics are always are nominated. It's
No,
crazy.
I'm just
They love biopics.
yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying those movies are bad. I'm just saying I don't think it's a good way. I don't think it's actually deciding what the best picture is for real.
Yeah. Yeah, I mostly agree with you. But I'm just saying of all the shows, I think it's the best by far. I think all the other one. My wife loves award shows, so we watch a bunch of them,
Mm.
and I check out of almost all of them except for the Oscars. I
You
think they
think it's
do a
better
good
than
job.
the video game ones?
I've never watched the video game ones.
Oh,
My wife is not super interested in those,
that makes
so
sense. Well,
I
and
don't get
I'll
what
be
they're
honest, they're
doing.
not really award shows. They're more like advertisements, which is what makes them fun to watch because you just get to see what's coming next.
I did see FIFA's going to Netflix or something like that.
Yep. But you know that they're not FIFA's not FIFA anymore, right?
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Yeah. Did
I,
you see the new? Sorry, we should stop and I'll tell
yeah,
you this
my bad.
offline.
Okay.
All right, we will see you next time. Potentially, we'll both be in person for the next episode, but we'll see how
Ooh.
that goes. It's gonna be. I think I have a bit of a true crime episode lined up for us
Ooh,
next,
let's
so that'll be
go.
fun and also probably depressing.
Uh-oh.
But we
That's
will
okay.
see you then. Goodbye.
Peace.